Welcome to the Tuesday edition of Wine's World, and today my topic is going to be saffron. And saffron is a spice that I use a lot in my cooking when I can get hold of it, but I can't find it here in Cambodia. I can find powders and whatnot that they call saffron, but it isn't. It's some kind of coloring or maybe turmeric even, I don't know. When you get yellow rice in a Indian restaurant, for example, it ought to be saffron if it was truly traditional, but they usually just use turmeric just to give it some color. But the thing about saffron is that it has a most delightful flavor, and I need it for certain dishes, including bouillabaisse, which is what I'm going to make today. Well, I complained about this enough that my sister sent me this box of saffron. It's really very expensive, and it's saffron threads rather than powder. So let's get started and talk about saffron, and then we'll talk about bouillabaisse. All right, well, we'll start with what saffron is. It's the stamen of the autumn crocus, sometimes called the saffron crocus or crocus sativa, and it's very expensive because you have to pick the crocuses by hand, and then you have to take the stamens out by hand. So it's a laborious process. Plus the fact that it takes a fair number of stamens in order to make a decent amount of saffron. So you can see here in these various pictures both the crocus itself and then the product. And if you've never had saffron, it's very hard for me to describe its complex flavor. So if you can afford it, the first thing you need to do is to go out and buy some saffron. Make just even a saffron tea would be really nice. When I lived in Lombardy in northern Italy, I could easily get saffron because it's used in a lot of northern Italian dishes, and they usually sold it powdered in very small sachets, quite expensive. I think I paid about maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 euros for just a fraction of a gram. But you don't need a lot in order to flavor a dish. But for me, it's absolutely essential for bouillabaisse. It's what gives bouillabaisse its unique flavor. It's a mixture of fish and saffron. And so let's talk about how we're going to make bouillabaisse. Now, when I lived in the United States, I used to make bouillabaisse as a dinner party dish quite often. And I'd have lots of different fish and a lot of shellfish. I'd usually have mussels and clams, and maybe some salmon and some halibut and shrimp, whatever I could get hold of. Well, I can't get hold of a lot here. I can get a certain amount of river fish or freshwater fish. Not exactly what you need for a bouillabaisse. You need sea fish. But I did get some salmon, and I did get some prawns or shrimp. More like langoustines, actually. Like, first step, shell the shrimp. This is when they're raw. It can be a little bit picky, but it's not all that difficult. You take the heads off, you pull off the skins, reserve the meat, put the shells into a pot with some water, and in this case I add a little bit of fish bouillon as well, and boil it up so that you've got a nice fish stock. Now if I had some fish bones or some leftover fish or whatever, then I'd make a richer stock. But that's my first step. Second step, some sliced potatoes, and then add some leeks and some tomatoes. Okay, that for me has always been the basic soup stock for a bouillabaisse. And what I used to do if I had the time was to set up a burner or a hot plate at the dining table, and then I'd heat the pot of stock with the vegetables in it on the stove, and then bring it to the hot plate and add the fish and the shellfish whilst the diners were sitting around at the table. Usually I would use actually a deep wok with a lid, and I would cook the fish first. Doesn't take that long. You know, if you chop the fish up into bite-sized pieces, they'll cook very quickly. And then last thing you do is you add the uncooked shellfish. The bivalves will open very quickly. You know, if you've got a lid, you put the clams and mussels in, and then put the lid on, then very quickly they're going to open up, and then dish it up. It's a very simple meal. But here's the thing that I need to point out, is that when you have got your stock ready, you add saffron, and you see it here, and it just infuses into the broth beautifully, and it colors it a deep saffron yellow. I mean, you know, what else? Same color as Buddhist monks' robes, or at least some Buddhist monks' robes, because they were originally dyed with saffron. Too expensive to do now. They've got other chemicals to do it. But that's the important step before you add the fish, is to make sure that your broth is rich in saffron, and the saffron taste and the saffron color, and then you add your other ingredients. And I typically served my bouillabaisse with garlic toast, but you can also you can serve it with rice, actually, it's fine, or anything you like. Anyway, that's my saffron pitch for the week, or for the month. On Friday I'm going to talk about the festival of Pachumbin, which is ongoing in Cambodia right now, and it's part of my Cambodian series. So you can see here already just a little preview of what you can see on Friday when I get into Pachumbin in earnest. And meanwhile, please tell your friends about my videos, please like, please subscribe, and I will see you on Friday. Have a good week.